test. Hey there everybody, how are you doing today? I am doing something different today. I'm going to do a cooking commentary stream. So what I actually did yesterday was I cooked a dish. And what I really want to do is some cooking content for you guys, but I don't have the proper setup yet. So I just filmed all of this on my camera and kind of created a video that I'm going to play for you and just comment on it, explain my process, explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing things. And if you have any questions, by all means, please ask. Whether I can actually answer it properly or not, I do not know, just because I am very much an amateur home cook. I'm not trained in any way. I don't have any technical knowledge or experience. This is just all something I do for fun. So to start off, I am just going to load this video here for you. So today, like I said, I am going to do a shrimp rose pasta. So it's a very simple dish, very few ingredients that I used for this. Onions, garlic, shrimp, gochujang, which is a spicy Korean paste, as well as some spaghetti noodles, and heavy cream. Now there are various other iterations of this dish. I just found what worked for me, what I wanted in mind. By all means, you can add whatever else you want to your dish to spice it up, to add some colors, some flavors. I kept it very simple today. So to start off with, as you can see in this video, I have a bowl of shrimp. Now you can use, let me just pause this here. You can use fresh shrimp. For this purposes though, I used frozen cooked shrimp already. You can use anything you want. For this particular one, you can add scallops, oysters, mussels. You can do an entire seafood pasta if you want. For this one, I kept things very simple, just did shrimp. I would recommend doing prep work in advance for this because, like I said, these are frozen shrimp, so you do want to thaw them out. You don't want them frozen when you're going into your cook, because then that takes longer and you could overcook the sauce. For these particular shrimp, they are already shelled, or they're already peeled and deveined, which is great. You get rid of that the poop sack in the shrimp, and it just left the tails on, which is nice for presentation. You don't have to leave tails on. You can have the tails removed. It's all personal preference. So to start off with, let me just increase that music a little bit here. I did take an onion and I cut it in half. And when you want to do this, you don't need a whole lot of onion. So I'm just slicing this onion here into thin strips. Now you can also dice your onions if you want. If you want a more, how do I pronounce it? Like a larger volume of it. So this one I sliced it so it's easier to manage and easier for me to cook with. And it's also nice for presentation too, because you get, instead of having these like little chunks of onions everywhere, you got these nice clean slices. Now you got to be very careful when you cut in. Obviously, you don't want to cut your fingers. You notice that I have right here, my fingers are curled, which is always a good thing to do when you're cooking and when you're slicing. So that way you don't accidentally cut the tip of your fingers or in any way. You can push the onion through and your knuckles rub against the knife, and this ensures safety. And in the kitchen, you always want to be safe. You don't want to cut a finger off or do any body harm. And as I got to the end of the onion, you saw that, let me just reverse that back here. As I got to the edge, I actually flipped the onion onto its side, so that way I can continue cutting without getting closer and closer to my fingers and potentially slicing things. Now obviously as you get to the edge, it does get a little bit more trickier, but yeah, I got that little piece of skin that came off there, of the onion skin, sorry, not my skin. And yeah, you just kind of clean everything. Make sure you're very careful with the knife. I'm very scared of always cutting myself. And you just put all the onions off to the side. Now, like, you can dice these smaller if you want. That is completely up to you. I like to leave it as larger pieces. And make sure you always clean your workstation afterwards. So this was all I needed the cooking board and the cutting board and the knife for. So I'm also using, I'm trying to cover up the brand name because I don't know if like sponsors get mad at that sort of stuff. But I am using minced garlic for this. Now you can use a whole clove of garlic and you do the same thing. You just cut into small little slices as you go. For this one, I had minced garlic in my fridge, so I decided to just use that instead. Both are still fine. Obviously the fresh garlic will have a more fresher taste to it, but it still works perfectly. So now, obviously, you get the whole story of waiting for a pot of water to boil. So once you get your water going, I did about, how much was that? Sorry. About a half a container full of water, because you want enough water to cook your pasta in it. And obviously, with this amount of water, it does take time. I think it took about 20 minutes roughly for this water to come to boil. And that's what you want. You want boiling water as you go. So now my water is heating up. It's boiling. I put the pasta in. You kind of just drop it in, let it kind of spiral out for that nice effect. It's always kind of cool to see that in restaurants and on cooking shows. Now, for this particular dish, I thought that much pasta wasn't enough. So I actually added some more pasta into it, because I made the mistake of not thinking about how much the pasta will expand in the water. And that's always something to keep in mind. Whether you're cooking pasta, you're cooking rice, it will absorb water and it will expand. So it will be more than you initially expect. And of course, me being in my infinite wisdom, I added more pasta thinking it wasn't enough. That was a bit of a mistake, so I have leftover pasta, but you know what? I can use it for something else down the road. Now, it takes about 10, 12-ish minutes, depending on how you like your pasta to be cooked, for it to fully cook and soften. Now, you'll notice I'm being very carefully as I'm stirring the pasta here, because it is still very brittle at this point, and you don't want to break your pasta, because that just doesn't look appealing when you have little strings of spaghetti pasta on your plate. So I'm just doing it very carefully, moving things around just so as the part that's submerged is getting softer and bends, I can get the parts that are not submerged to go into the water and soften up. Now you see that the pasta is cooking, everything's bubbling, which is great. And you want to keep stirring your pasta constantly, just so it doesn't sit at the bottom, it doesn't clump together, it won't burn, but it could. You want to keep things moving so that it doesn't the pieces of the pasta don't stick together. Because that is a problem that will happen with pasta and I'll show that in a couple minutes actually, of what you should do to ensure you get some nice clean noodles for when you're eating, instead of like a big clump of just noodles, like a bunch of noodles just clumped together. Sorry, I'm not explaining that properly. Okay, so again, 10 to 12 minutes or to your desired level of al dente firmness. You don't want it too soft, you don't want it too hard. So I missed a part there. I thought I was filming it when I was taking the noodles out of the pot. What I did here is, let me just reverse this in a couple of seconds here. So I actually put the pot or the noodles into a colander, and that colander is in a bowl with a paper towel underneath, so it catches the water that drips out, and I can just kind of get all my noodles out, get them to dry out so they're not just heavily coated in just water. Another thing you can do is, if you don't want to use a bowl, you put it in your sink, put the colander in your sink, and you can just carefully pour the hot water and the noodles into the colander. Careful though, it will splash. So you want to do it slowly, but not too slow. And just in a controlled pour. That way you can get all the water out, you can drain it, and then shake the noodles and just let it sit for a couple seconds, or no more than 60 seconds, just to try and drain as much water out as you can. Or if you want, like I did, I put it in the bowl with paper towel, so whilst the noodles are sitting, I can kind of get a little bit of other stuff done. Now, that said, I did mention before, noodles can clump together when they come out of a pot and they just sit there. As you can see right now, the noodles are looking a little bit dry now because they have been taken out of the hot water. So to combat this, what I did is I dumped it out of the colander into the metal bowl. After I did remove the paper towel, of course. Now, what I do after that is I add a little bit of oil to it, and you mix it all together. Now, with this amount of noodles, I had to add a little bit more oil than I would have preferred, but what adding oil does is it coats each noodle. Like, you want to mix everything around, coat the noodles, and this way it prevents you from having the noodles clumping together. So it acts as like a lubricant on the noodles, so it keeps everything individualized. It has like that thin film of oil around it. Now, before I play this next part, I just want to give everyone a heads up that may have ASMR sensitivity or something. I did add the background noise for this one, just so you can hear the sizzle of the vegetables and the onions and the garlic as I'm cooking it, because I think that's an amazing sound. You just hear that as a cook, when you listen to that, it just sounds so amazing. Listening to how all those flavors are cooking and coming together. Now, I did make a mistake here, and that's my fault. Let's explain in a second. So obviously you want to get your pan hot enough, and then you want to add some oil to it and just kind of swirl it around so it coats the pan. It makes things a little bit easier. Now, this is where I made my mistake. I added garlic first. You shouldn't actually add garlic first if you are planning on cooking onions. Actually, wait, is the ASMR playing on this? Oh, maybe not. Shoot, okay, maybe not. But like I was saying though, you actually want to cook the onions first. That way it gets translucent, it sweats. You want to sweat the onions. That releases all the oils and the moisture from it, and it makes it so much more flavorful. It impacts this wow factor, and you don't want raw onions when you're chomping on pasta. So by sweating the onions, you want to get them to when they're translucent. That way, you know, they're soft, they're tender, they have that flavor, and then you want to add the garlic afterwards. Depending if you're using fresh garlic, you definitely want to do that after you're cooking the onions, because garlic can burn quite easily, especially when it's sliced thin. It'll burn a lot faster than, say, putting a whole clove of garlic in. And the reason you want to actually add garlic after your onions is because that adds a burst of flavor to it. When I'm doing the garlic first, I realized that kind of cooked off some of the flavor. That's my fault. I wasn't thinking. You definitely want to add that garlic though after you're cooking the onions, so then everything has that, it can soak in that onion juices and mix with the garlic flavor. So as you can see here, I'm continuing on. I'm cooking these onions down. I did speed this section up a little bit because it does take a little while to cook down onions. But as you can see, they're slowly starting to change color. from that white color to that kind of light greenish tint to it, that means your onions are now becoming translucent, which is, like I said before, a really, really great thing to do. It imparts so much more flavor into your food. Okay, so now I'm also adjusting the heat too. You want to do this at a high heat, or I did this all through a medium to a medium high heat, just because I don't want to burn my food. Because obviously if you heat up a pan to a high, and then you put in things like cream or something, it could curdle afterwards, and that's going to leave a very bad taste. So using a medium to a medium high heat, I find worked best. It still got the pan hot enough that I could cook my onions through, my garlics. This is where you would also add other ingredients like mushrooms, or what else could you add? You could add broccoli even if you wanted to, just so it cooks and it softens up. Because this is when you want to have your vegetables softened. Because when you add everything else into it, later down the road, you only need to cook it for a little short time at that point. So you want to get all your hard vegetables cooked at this point in time, so it's all easier to eat. It's not biting into like something hard. Now this is where I'm adding the shrimp. I want to add the shrimp first, so that it can kind of mix with the onion juice, the garlic flavors. And it just also, if your shrimp is still kind of cold or frozen, depending on what kind of shrimp you're using, this is a good time for it to also warm up the shrimp and defrost it a little bit more if you find it's still a little bit of ice on it. Now I'm just going to pause this for a quick second. I forgot to mention this before. With the shrimp, if you decide to do raw shrimp, it is suggested that you do cook it first before you do your onions and your garlic. So you would just do a quick parboil, I believe is the term for that. So that a parboil would be, you have a pot of water going, a pot of boiling water, and then you would take your raw shrimp and you would put it into that water so it cooks until it gets changes color from that clear translucent to this vibrant pink that you see in these pre-cooked shrimp. Now you can use any size of shrimp if you want. If you want to go for that wow factor, you can definitely use jumbo prawns, tiger shrimp, or if you want to do quantity over a visual appeal, you can do like the smaller bags of shrimp, and you just kind of cook all of that, so you have more of a shrimp to noodle ratio. It's all, again, personal preference. So here again, back to the video, I have added the shrimp to this, and then again, I'm adjusting the heat constantly because I want to make sure the shrimp is cooked, or sorry, the shrimp is warm, but not overcooked. Because when shrimp gets overcooked, that's when it becomes rubbery and unappealing. So again, I'm just kind of stirring things around, making sure, because you want that even heat distribution through all of your elements. Now this is where I do see the appeal of using fresh garlic over minced garlic. As you can see in the corner of the video here, like a lot of the garlic just kind of sits to the side as you're moving everything around. Whereas if you have the, hey Jason, how you doing? Yeah, cooking is pretty sweet, man. It's this was really fun to do. It was interesting trying to film all of this with just one camera, because there are times where I thought I pressed the record button and I'm doing the motions, and only to realize in post when I'm putting the video together, I do not have a video clip. So that was kind of fun. But for the most part, I got all the important pieces. And yeah, that's true. Like, doing a one-person setup is very hard. You sometimes need a lot more. You need at least a second person to help video things. Because I'm doing all this on a tripod, so I'm trying to work around the tripod so I can get the shot in. That said, though, Jason, since you are actually a chef, please tell me if anything I am ever saying in this cook is wrong, or if my thought process is incorrect in my knowledge. You know better. Like, I'm more than happy to defer to you on technical aspects. This is all just kind of what I've seen from YouTube, from reading cookbooks, and just kind of watching cooking shows, and just kind of throwing things together as I go. So back to this video now. So I have the shrimp cooking. Oh yeah, YouTube is a great teacher. I've learned so much of, like, a lot of the foods that I made and posted. has been stuff I've seen on YouTube or TV shows, and then I've researched the individual components. Now, here is, so after I've had the shrimp, the onions, and the garlic cooking to the point where I feel like everything is soft and tender with the onions, the shrimp is warmed, but it's not cold. But it's not overcooked. This is where I'm going to make the cream sauce now. So now you can see here, like this is the final view. Everything is green for the onions, it's all wilted. Now I'm adding heavy cream to the mix in order to make this cream sauce. Now a lot of the recipes I saw, they say to add 200 milliliters of heavy cream. For this one, honestly, I just eyeballed it because I knew I was planning to make a lot, so I didn't know how much the conversion rate would be from those recipes I saw versus what I'm planning to make. So I figured I'd just add a little bit more, or I'll just eyeball everything here. And that way, if it's too creamy, I can reduce it a little bit more so it's more of like a thicker sauce consistency as opposed to a soup. Because with something like this, you don't want it to be a runny liquid, because then it takes away from the appeal. It makes it look more like a soup than a pasta dish. Some recipes have actually also said using equal parts heavy cream and equal parts milk. I tried doing one prior to this as a tester with milk, and I found that made it a little bit too runny. I found. I mean, it was tasteful. Like the milk adds this burst of flavor to the heavy cream. It reduces some of the heaviness of it overall. But that said, I did find when I was cooking it, it was a lot more runnier than I would have liked. So I had to reduce it a lot more, and when you do that, you could overcook the noodles. So this way, I just did only heavy cream. So that way, it still has that thickness to the consistency of it, and then it also has more. I don't have to reduce it as much and risk overcooking. Now, as the cream is coming to a boil, I'm obviously mixing things around, just getting everything coated a little bit. Again, always adjust your heat. Keep an eye on your heat because you don't want to do everything on one heat setting because it could potentially overburn, because it's a delicate thing. With cream, if you overcook it or if you heat it up too much, it will start to curdle. Now you see a slight little color change there. That's probably from the onions and the garlic kind of leaching into the milk. Or it could just be my lighting on my camera, just switch it. Now here I added some salt to it, just for a little bit of flavor, because you always want salt. Salt is your friend, because it just gives it this, it heightens all the flavors. That said though, you got to be careful because too much salt is not great for the body. You can also add some pepper to this here. I did not add pepper because I am planning to add a spice to it with the chili paste. And again, keep an eye on your pasta. Like, oh, you see here it's starting to boil a little bit. I probably should have reduced the heat a bit more here because I think it was getting a little too hot. And that's on me. It still came out great, but as you can see, it's starting to foam, which isn't good. So here is where I'm adding gochujang. Now, gochujang is a Korean spicy chili paste. Or it's a red chili pepper paste. It's really good, but it can be very, very spicy if you don't know what you're doing with it. So that's why I added roughly a tablespoon worth here. Now you saw that it is a thick paste, so when I was putting it on the spoon, it was kind of sticking to it after I got most of it off. So that's why you saw me, let me just go back here and show you. I'm taking the chopsticks, my cooking chopsticks, and I'm rubbing it against the spoon with a little, to try and get a lot of the mixture off of it. So I'm using the cream base to kind of wash it off. That was something I saw in a video. I thought that was actually kind of cool, kind of interesting. It actually makes a lot of sense. I never thought of that before, and I'm probably going to do that a lot more in the future. Now, as you can see, that red color of the chili paste is mixing with the cream. You want to mix that in so it adds that hint of spice, that little hint of kick. That is why I did not add pepper earlier, just because I knew this pepper paste does have a lot of flavor to it, so I didn't want to overpower things with too much spices, too much pepper. Now again, the color obviously is going to soak into the cream base. I thought I because of how much I added, I thought I could add a little bit more. Because personally, me, I don't mind a bit of spice. So again, I added some more sauce, pepper paste to that, clean off the spoon as much as I can, and just keep stirring things. Now again, here I made the mistake of not turning down the heat. Should have been maybe more towards medium than medium high, but it worked fine. Just keep everything moving so it doesn't boil and everything just kind of keeps going. Now once you get your sauce cooked to the consistency that you like, and reduced down a little bit, you want to add the noodles to it. Now this is where I mentioned before how I made the mistake of doing too much pasta. As you can see in that bowl, that's quite a bit of pasta compared to how much sauce I had. So I had decided to just use a little bit just to get everything going. You don't want to have too much noodles and not enough sauce. That kind of kills the dish. So now after this point, you just kind of stir it all in, you just mix it in. And you also want to reduce your sauce down too. So you can see that it's still a little bit liquidy. Let me go back here for a sec. So you can see how liquidy it is still right here. I decided to just change that around and just reduce more and more. So it's a thicker, almost like a paste, not a paste, but you want a thicker sauce that you want. So then it coats everything nicely. And you just keep mixing it around. So at the end of the day, trying to get the noodles on the plate, just trying to plate all this around here. So presentation wise, I was thinking what looks nice. Put a nice bunch of noodles in the middle, add a couple of shrimp, just for visual appeal. Now this is a dish that is actually pretty easy and pretty quick to do. All in all, the biggest issues is the wait time, waiting for the onions to cook down, waiting for the hot water to boil so you can cook the noodles. I would say if I wasn't filming this, it would have taken me maybe 45 minutes max to do all this. But obviously with filming this, it ended up being an hour and a half because I had to wait for everything. I had to adjust camera angles. But you know what? It came out pretty nice, I thought, in the end. Like, this is the final look. You can top it with whatever you want as well. I ended up topping this with a little bit of basil. You can use parsley, just something to give it that nice color differential. And this is where I saw in some other recipes, people decided to do broccoli, like I mentioned. So that has that green color that comes through the noodles with whatever protein you add. Now, I know in this one, I used shrimp. You can actually use any type of protein that you want. You don't even have to add a protein. If you just want straight rose pasta noodles, same thing. You just do everything that I did before. The onions, the garlic, the heavy cream, cook the noodles, everything that I did before, except you remove the shrimp element. Now, if you are doing other proteins like say ground beef, for instance, and you want to do like a meat sauce rose pasta dish, it should work. The only thing I would caution is that with ground beef, it does give off its own oils. So be careful when you're adding that to the cream because it might mix. It could potentially give this weird flavor. Obviously, you're not cooking it too long in the cream, so it should be fine, but I haven't actually tried that myself. It's actually something I'm kind of curious about. I may try that offline just for our own personal experience or personal check and see how that works out. But like I said, you can use any protein. If you want to do chicken breast, slices of chicken, same thing. If you want to do steak even, although you might want to do the steak as something that goes on the side, because I don't know if you want to take a prime cut of meat, slice it, cook it, slice it up, and then incorporate it into the pasta like this, as opposed to maybe having it as like a side piece to it. Like you have your pasta on one side, then you have your steak on the other. That could be a nice hearty dish as well. I will say though, after making this dish and eating it, it was really good. I probably think I could have actually upped the spice factor a little bit more. There was a hint of spice to it, but I think with all the cream that I used, that helped neutralize a lot of the spices. So, and that's why a lot of people drink things like milk or yogurt when they have when they eat spicy foods, because the enzymes in the milk, I believe, help neutralize that spice. So in this case, I probably could have added more gochujang. Now with a typical, this is a Korean version of rose pasta, at least a Korean inspired version, because I used the gochujang. In a typical rose pasta, you would actually use tomatoes, or like tomato sauce or tomato paste, to get that rich, vibrant, pinkish color. Now it's a little hard to tell with the lighting because I was doing this at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, so that I had time to edit everything. But and I know it looks like a little yellowish, but when I in my front of me in person, it actually did have a nice kind of pinkish color to it, similar to like that rose kind of look. Maybe between a pink rose and a red rose, like that middle between there. All in all, though, it is a really good dish. It's very simple to make. I definitely recommend trying it out. I mean, it's not so complex that you need to have like so much technical knowledge, technical skills. Like I said, I did all this with pre-packaged ingredients. So I used frozen shrimp. I used minced garlic from the store. The only real technical thing I had to learn how to do on this was cut an onion and boil pasta. Everything else is very, very simple, very easy to do, and it has you have a lot of freedom with it too. You can add whatever you want, you can take away what you don't want, and you can also play around and do substitutions. So this particular one, I used spaghetti noodles to make this dish. I actually have another version of this dish that I'm planning to make in the future. I might actually try and do that one live, filming it on my cell phone instead. I'm actually going to do a tteokbokki, or a Korean rice cake version of this. So instead of the spaghetti noodles, it's going to be rice cakes, which are a thicker, shorter, kind of how to explain it? It's like almost like a pill, like a rectangular gnocchi, but it's made out of rice. So the rice is like mashed to the point where it becomes a paste, and then it's formed into. You can either slice it, or you can have it like little logs in a way. So I'm actually going to do that version, but instead of shrimp, I'm actually going to use. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. I found a video of it on YouTube, and I thought, hey, this is actually pretty cool. I want to try this version and kind of change it, make it my own. So that one, I'm actually also going to use Korean fish cake, which I don't know how many of you have had before, but it is absolutely delicious. It is like a fish paste that is like spread out into a sheet and cooked that way. And then you can just slice it into like thin strips, or they also form it into shapes like fish balls or logs, sort of. It's actually, if you ever get the chance, definitely try it out. It's a huge popular street food actually in Korea. When I went and visited there, that was my go-to street food dish every time I was out. So what I'm planning to do with that, what my Korean-inspired version dish is, again, gochujang, because I love that spice flavor, as well as the fish cakes, the rice cakes, and then I'm going to add potentially some bacon to it. So what people do is, when you're cooking, after you cook the onions and you cook the garlic, you want to add chopped bacon, like chopped raw bacon to it, so that cooks, because then the oils and the fats from that bacon soak into the garlic, soak into the onions, and it just adds that next level of flavor to it. It's just that burst of fatty richness, fatty goodness that you just love. And then I would obviously add in the same process after that. And so instead of shrimp, I'm using bacon, as well as the fish cake. Hey Don, how are you going? How are you doing today? It's pretty early for you. Oh no, sorry, it's the afternoon. I think it's about 5:30-ish, I believe. Sorry if I'm making you hungry, but hey, that's why I started this stream so early, because my time, by the time I finish this ideally it takes me up till lunchtime, so that I get my appetite going, and I can go and eat a nice lunch. And then for you, this works out because then you could, I don't know if you had dinner yet, but this gets your appetite going. So now you can go and enjoy and have this great, amazing dinner. But sorry, like what I was saying before with the Korean dish is I'm going to also change things up a little bit and add sausages to it. Yeah, it's a good plan. That's what I was thinking about this, like a cooking stream. Do you really want to watch a cooking stream like in the middle of the day or in the evening when it makes you hungry? So I figured if I'm going to make people hungry with my food, might as well do it at a point where it leads up to people wanting to go and eat. But sorry, back to, I easily get distracted. So my dish for the next one, I'm going to add maybe some sausages into it to give it that little meat, that protein feel to it. So instead of like this one, I use shrimp, and that other one, I'm going to use sausages, as well as I'm going to attempt to do a soft boiled egg. So the outer yolk should be firm, similar to a hard boiled egg, but then when you cut into it, the yolk inside should just ooze out. And when you mix that with the pasta, that should be amazing. Now, if that doesn't work out, if you're not very good at doing soft boiled eggs, one other thing you could probably do is a sunny side up egg. So the yolk is still very liquidy, and you just place that on top of the pasta or whatever starch that you're using. And when you mix it all together, it just that creaminess from the egg yolk adds, again, another level of flavor to the ones that you've already added with the bacon and the onions and the salt and whatever seasoning that you have going. So, like I said, this actually was an hour and a half to cook everything from start to finish, and I managed to condense that all down into about a 13-minute video, which is, I thought it was pretty cool. I know I started and stopped and went back a little bit in this video, and maybe you kind of want to see the full process from start to finish. So I do have that video set up for you guys to check out. And let me just pull this up here. And I was kind of playing around with a little bit of it, and I added some background noise to it. Let me switch to this channel here. Let's see if this works. Now this is the full video from start to finish. Again, you see here I'm keeping my fingers curled just so I don't cut myself. Let me just turn up the volume on this a little bit. Just to get that nice little techno-y music in the background. Be very careful when using knives, for sure. Like, you don't want to cut yourself. Like you saw, I was rubbing my finger very carefully along the back. Yeah, a lot of these techniques, and I'm sorry, you can't see me, but I'm using techniques in air quotes, is stuff I just saw on TV and kind of did a lot of research on, like why to do this. Yeah, this was the part that took the longest, just waiting for that water to come to a boil. Did you do anything else with boiling pasta, or was it step by step? No, I really didn't do anything else when I was boiling pasta. This is all in a step by step process, just because I didn't want to overcook the pasta or have something go wrong where I'm prepping something else whilst the pasta is going. And that's what's the nice thing though about pasta is I can do it in advance. So actually, the pasta was the very first thing that I cooked, so that I have it just sitting off to the side, so it's ready to incorporate once I get everything else done. So like it's a little bit of what I did was out of order when I did it live, then as opposed to what you can see in the video. But like, so I had this already done, and then it was just sitting off to the corner. Like you can see in the top corner there, that little metal bowl with my ingredients. I had like a whole counter full of everything just set out and ready to go. I mean, if you are very skilled in the kitchen and you know what you're doing and be able to monitor everything, if you want to do everything at the same time, by all means, go for it. Like I'm very much like an amateur chef, so I personally feel for me, I have to do things one at a time. Otherwise, I'm going to screw up something, you know? Obviously, I'm using an electrical stove here. I feel like a gas stove would give you a much richer flavor because you get that even heat distribution throughout the entire pan, as opposed to this is kind of mostly focused in the center of the pan and then it has to radiate out. Yeah, for this video, I actually started and stopped and did so many individual little clips to try and piece together. And that's why I decided to do it this way as a video instead of doing a live cooking. Just because this way I can kind of figure out what I need to do, how things work, angles to set up. Eventually though, I would love to do a live cook so you can see everything done. It might take a lot longer because, like I said, this took an hour and a half to film. But, you know, I have no problem doing that in a live cook setup. And just kind of, you know, showcase what I kind of can do. Yeah. I've seen a couple live cooking streams. Actually, one that I've been following for quite a while, who's been making headlines on that new Fox show, Next Level Chef, is Trisha Wang. I've watched a lot of her live cooking shows, and she's really good. Like she's a professionally trained chef. So yeah, Trisha is a birdie. Yeah, she's funny. I like her. I've watched a lot of her stuff. I've talked to her via like her live stream chat, like asked questions and stuff, and she's answered. She's really approachable, really nice. Definitely recommend checking her out if you guys ever get the chance. And hopefully this works. Hopefully that's her correct channel. Trisha is a birdie. But yeah, like watching her on Next Level Chef is really interesting because her personality when you watch her on a live stream is just the same. Like she's very outgoing, she's very bubbly. Perfect. Yeah, if you guys ever get a chance, check out her stream when she does live cooking. It's amazing, like the stuff that she does. And she's very knowledgeable too, and oh yeah, like she is so chill. I'm really happy to see her succeed. This is her year. After that Gordon Ramsay meme going around, like this is definitely her year. Now this is probably the part where I could have added a little bit of pepper to the dish, but I decided not to. Because as nice as it is adding all these spices and flavors to it, you have to be very careful about how they complement and balance each other. Because you could just add whatever you want, but then at the end of the day, it could just come out to be a horrible, horrible taste. So that's why I was figuring out, you know what, for this first one, I'm going to keep it simple. But going back to your question before about needing to film things individually, or doing this step by step, I will eventually do live so you can kind of see everything going. I might attempt it with the tteokbokki rose pasta dish that I have kind of in my back of my mind. Either that, or I might try something simpler that won't take up as much time. Something I definitely do want to incorporate into a future cooking stream is sous vide cooking. That said, though, I will have to get the meat done prior in advance, because those will tend to take a little bit of time to cook. But yeah, like, I wish you guys could have smelled what I was smelling at this point in time. It just was so good, and I was getting so hungry just making all this stuff. And that's at like 7:30 in the morning. I'm smelling all of this goodness, and I'm just like, I'm so hungry right now. So that is the red pepper paste. It is you can find it at any local Asian supermarket, or if you have an H Mart or whatever Asian markets you have close by. They have a wide selection of different pastes, and there's different types as well. Some of the recipes I've seen online, they actually use also red pepper flakes as well. So there's a powder, and they'll maybe mix that with some onion powder or other seasonings. And then after they add the gochujang paste, they'll also add this red pepper powder. So it boosts it up even more in terms of spiciness, and you can add other flavors. And it also will affect the color and make it a richer, vibrant color. Considering how fast this actually changed color, I think that had more to do with the lighting of my camera, because I believe it was set to automatic mode, so it kind of adjusted it. It shouldn't have changed colors that fast. In real life, when I was watching it, it wasn't like that bright. And it also could be that because I left it sit for a couple seconds while I was getting everything else sorted, that it was starting to like curdle a little bit, or maybe it was like starting to boil too much. Like you see those bubbles, that's not ideal. You want it to simmer, not boil like that. So I should have reduced the heat. But yeah, this is honestly a quick, simple dish that anyone can make anytime. Date night with your significant other. You can do this in half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on how complex you want it. I definitely suggest you guys actually try this dish. It's super simple. Now, I know I didn't give any actual measurements, and I just eyeballed everything really, and I find that's fine with my style of cooking. Obviously, certain things I will use actual measurements. But for this, I decided to just kind of eyeball everything a little bit, because I've done enough of this to know roughly what I need or what I will overpower. Oh yeah, it was so tasty afterwards. Like, I made so much, I gave some to my parents and my brother and sister-in-law. And they really liked it. So, I mean, honestly, I kind of do a lot more of the fancier style cooking, because I'm more for the presentation, because I feel like we eat with our eyes first, and then we eat with our mouth. So that's why I went for like that nice simplistic look here. Yeah, you have a great dinner, Don. Yeah, thanks very much. I was a little nervous trying to put this together, thinking, oh, what do I got to do here? What do I got to do there? But it came out really well. And I'm really happy with it. I got your appetite going. Well, that was my plan. That's why I wanted to do a cooking stream. I wanted to get people hungry. I wanted to get them interested in food. Like in our last stream where we were talking to that kid about his passion, this is kind of where my passion lies a little bit, into making food, making something delicious. Actually, let me see if I have pictures of previous dishes I've made. Let me see what I can find here. Oh, okay, so I don't know how familiar people are with the anime Food Wars. This is my attempt on... let me see. Why is it not opening? Here we go. I tried doing the souffle that he did in the anime. So this is like my version up top there, and then this is the actual anime version in the bottom left hand corner, and in this right hand corner you can kind of see like a cut of what I did. So I try to do it very fluffy like. Actually, this was a very interesting and very simple one to make as well. It's actually one I could potentially do on another stream. I didn't actually make that sauce. That is just a canned salsa, and it's sprinkled with fresh parsley on it. Or is it parsley I used? Or basil? It was an herb. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. I think it was parsley. To do this, though, you actually have to separate the egg whites from the egg yolks, and you beat the egg whites so that they're light and fluffy, and then you fold that back into the egg yolks that have been mixed up. So you have like this fluffy kind of batter in a way. And then when you put it into your hot pan, you just kind of pour that in and you just let it steam. You got to cover it with the lid so that the steam cooks it. And then you can kind of fold it easily. Now, the only dangerous thing about that, though, is it does deflate very quickly. Let me just see what else I've done here. Okay, so this is actually a dish that I did for for Christmas last year. Not 2021, but 2020. So this is actually a rack of lamb with roasted baby carrots and savory rice. So like this is the kind of stuff I don't do very often, but it's stuff I would love to do on stream for you guys. Just kind of do something fancy and show off. This one is actually the rack of lamb was done as sous vide. I think this was a 16-hour cook. I can't remember off the top of my head. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, no, like I said, one of my major things is doing visuals, because we eat with our eyes first. So if it looks good, then we trick our mind into thinking that it's going to taste good. Because I'm still working on flavor profiles and trying to figure all that stuff out. But if it looks bad, you're less inclined to enjoy the meal. You know what I mean? See if I have something else here. Actually, I can show you what the ribs look like. So like here's what they look like after I took them out of the water bath and after I seared them. So when they come out of the water bath, they actually look pretty gnarly. Like, can I rotate this? Like it looks really, how do I say, unappetizing. It's gray meat, it looks like. And that's the one downside with sous vide cooking versus traditional cooking. When you cook sous vide, the meat that comes out is very gray because it's just boiled meat, but it's so tender, so juicy. Like the fat cap on these ribs rendered amazingly. So then you just toss it into a pan and you just like sear it for maybe 30 seconds on each side, and you get this nice golden caramelized color, and it helps also render the fat a little bit more. Actually, if you want to see what it looked like in the bags before I cooked it, so that's what how I would do sous vide stuff. You take the prepped meat, I threw it into these bags, I vacuum seal them, I also added some seasonings inside so that as it cooks, that flavor just kind of imparts into the meat. You know, because when you're cooking sous vide, the meat releases a lot of moisture from inside itself, but it's in a bag, so that meat that moisture doesn't go anywhere. That liquid. Whereas when you're doing traditional cooking on the stove or in an oven, all that meat kind of just, or sorry, not the meat, the moisture evaporates, and then you have to be very careful because then you could dry out your meat by overcooking it. Whereas with sous vide, I never have that worry because it's still soaking in that moisture in its juices, that so it all imparts that flavor back into the meat. You don't lose anything. The only downside is, you know, it is a long time to cook. So like ribs can take 16 hours to cook. A steak, which you can normally cook on the stove in maybe 5-10 minutes tops, would take an hour in the sous vide. But that said, you can't argue with the results. Let me see if I have anything else here that might be of interest. Oh, one thing I really love. Sorry, I know this stream was supposed to be just about the roast pasta, and I'm getting distracted with all these other foods. But one thing I really, really enjoy cooking sous vide is this pork belly. Like pork belly in sous vide style is just amazing. Let me see if I have this video going. Oh, whoops. Now we'll jump back to that. Like, look at that glistening oils coming off of that pork belly. Like, pork belly is just so amazing. I always have some pork belly in my freezer ready to drop into the water whenever. The only bad thing about this one, I think, is it takes about 12 hours to cook this style. And then you have to also salt it and leave it sit in the fridge overnight so that top dries out, so you get that nice crispy skin. So it's almost like a 24-hour cook in order to get pork belly. But afterwards, when you cut it and you slice it, it's just so amazing, and it retains all the moisture and the juice in it. But yeah, that's my cooking spiel for the day about roast pasta. Like, did anyone have any questions or anything you wanted to ask about? Maybe about the process or flavors? Oops. So yeah, here's a better picture view of it. So let me see if I can full screen this. Is the video of me eating it? No, I was tempted to, but I want to wait till I hit my follower goal and do the face cam reveal. Then maybe I'll do like an actual video of me eating food. Watching people eat is great. Yeah, I know, like the mukbangs. That is something I'm kind of thinking of doing in the future as well. I would love to do maybe different foods that I have locally, like Canadian foods that we have here that may not be as popular in wherever everyone else is living. Or maybe I'll do a stream where I'll cook something that the viewers select, and then I'll eat that on stream. Do I have a video of me eating? Let me check my video files here. There is this video. I wasn't too sure if I was going to show it or not. Just because I get a little clumsy trying to pick up the noodles, because I'm reaching across my island to do this. Yeah, that little slurping was kind of embarrassing. And then, of course, you know, at the end of the day, I did finish it. Like, it was worthwhile. Like, it is a delicious dish, without a doubt. But actually, one thing I would love to ask chat is, would you rather I pick dishes to make, or would you rather I do where chat maybe suggests dishes and I try and recreate that on the stream? Whether I do it as another video stream like this and then commentate on it, or down the road maybe do it as a live cook. Like, what would people like? What would you feel like seeing more? Yeah, no, for sure. Like, for the first little while, once I get more comfortable with things, I will pick. But what are your thoughts on maybe doing viewer participation, and that viewers choose what I cook next through a poll, or maybe we do a raffle or something? That's actually something I was thinking about, where I would do a raffle in the future, and the winner gets to choose the next dish that I try and cook. It might work. Okay, yeah, no, definitely. I would love some feedback on this. What do you guys think you would prefer to see more? Did you like this video commentary style where I will film things and then kind of put everything together in a video format, then we can watch it, we can pause, we can go back and discuss things? Or would you rather prefer live cooking? Because I know there are a lot of streamers that, yeah, it could get expensive if I let other people pick the dish. So I would probably set a limit to how much I would spend on ingredients, and or I would maybe say offer a couple suggestions and then I will pick from there. Now the raffle, I would probably, if I were to do the raffle idea, I'm thinking I would do that maybe once every 2 months for a raffle version, just so I can save up for maybe potentially doing a more fancier, expensive dishes. And then every month, or every other month, I would just do like a regular cook from something I pick. Live is always better, but this is really cool too. Yeah, like I understand the appeal for live, because then you can see it. It's like you're cooking with me in the kitchen, which is always a great experience as well for someone. They can see how things are done right then and there, as opposed to maybe having to have it explained via video or via commentary, like what I'm doing now. But that said, I do like the appeal of doing these video styles, because then I can go back and go forward. I can kind of fine tune things. If something doesn't work out, I can always reshoot that and then give you guys a better final product, you know? I do think, though, for the next little bit, I will continue doing the video commentary style like this. I'll be better prepared with more pictures, more maybe better angles. But eventually, I will try and do a live cook. Definitely after I do, if I can hit my face reveal goal. If not, then I might just stick with video commentary for a while. Or if I do a live, I'll just make sure I don't show my face. Yeah, seeing mistakes is always good too, because then you can learn what not to do. Like, as opposed to saying, "Oh, just do this, do this, do this." If I screw up, I can be like, "Well, we now know this doesn't work." So it's more of a learning experience, which is always the best way to learn. And it does feel more hands-on in that way. Maybe not you physically being there to do hands-on, but it does kind of feel like I'm using my hands for you to be hands-on experience, if that makes sense. Do you have any new fancy dishes that you want to do in the future? Because I know I've seen you post on your social media the different dishes that you kind of make. Let me just go to the just chat here. Actually, let's open it up like this. Oh, you're going to film two things today. Nice. Are they surprises or you want to share? Are you going to stream? But if I get one of these guys, hey, well, I hope you get it done, man. That would be really impressive and really amazing. Like, you do some amazing food. Like, I'm always in awe of what I see you make, because you're classically trained. You know all this stuff. I'm kind of copying. I'll be honest, a lot of the stuff that I cook is recreation. Like, that's my thing. I'm not inventive enough. What is the hot cocoa and the other is rice? Oh, sweet. That sounds perfect, especially on cold winter days like this. Hot cocoa and Rice Krispie treats are always a good thing to have. Are you going to stream are you going to do the same sort of thing like I'm doing and stream your videos if you make it? Or are you going to just do like a live stream? Or is it just going to be uploaded to your social media? Not going to stream it? You should, man. You should give it a try. Like, I know you did it before, and I don't know if it burned you out or not. Oh, it's going to be TikTok, Instagram Reel. Okay. So, if anyone listening, definitely go check out Chef Blackbeard's social media. Check out his cooking TikTok, his cooking Instagram. He does some pretty cool stuff, and he's a really, really great guy. Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of a short stream today. Like, I budgeted for 2 hours because I didn't know how long things were going to take, but you know what? I really like talking about cooking and just cooking in general, because there's so many things you can do. Yeah, but right now and it's in TikTok, and I kind of want to. Yeah, no, definitely. If you got momentum going, definitely take it as far as you can, man. Because who knows what tomorrow has? You could be the next social media chef on TV. Like, you could end up getting offers to appear on the next season of Next Level Chef. It could happen. Just get some water. But that's the plan. Yeah. I mean, with the way things are going in the world nowadays, social media is where it's at. Influencers are becoming a lot more mainstream, a lot more popular, and if you can ride that wave, by all means go for it. You can use that platform for so many good things, or you can spread knowledge and awareness, or you can even just share your passion, like cooking. Actually, I was just looking at this picture of the pasta dish. This is where I was kind of talking about how you want to reduce your sauce, because when you look at this right here, like, you see how it's not so runny, it's thick enough that it coats each individual noodle. That's kind of what you want. Whereas when you add milk to the sauce, to the heavy cream, it makes it a lot more runnier, so it's almost like you're having a soup that you're kind of drinking of. When I was watching Next Level Chef, I was saying to myself, I would want to be in the basement for every challenge. You want to be in the basement? That basement is very scary. Like, I'm pretty sure I would die down there just because of all the challenges I'd have to try and deal with. Like, I can barely manage alone in a medium level kitchen. Trying to be put in that basement situation, I'm pretty sure I would fail. Yeah, milk will make it runny for sure. Like, the milk does help cut a lot of the heaviness of it, which is nice if you're not a big fan of that kind of cream sauce. But then you have to reduce it quite a bit in order to get it to the point where it can coat the noodles nicely and not be a soup. But you know what? I mean, I can see the appeal in using milk. It all depends on the person's personal flavor or personal taste profiles. Actually, I'm kind of thinking about it. A really great ingredient that would make this pop a lot more is if you have maybe cherry tomatoes and you cut that in half. Pour that in when you do the onions and the shrimp. Just get that little acidity flavor going through it. That could be a nice touch to this. Or even sun-dried tomatoes would be really good. You want some color to this thing because it is a lot of, yeah, the acidity would definitely help cut a lot of that richness. But yeah, you definitely want color going in this dish because it is a lot of pinkish yellowish on pinkish yellowish because everything's a one pot dish sort of in a way, aside from cooking the pasta in a separate pot. I mean, I could have done it in that one pot and then just kind of cleaned it out afterwards, but it would have been more chaos. Yeah, so I'm thinking I might try and do the other rose pasta dish in, today's what, the 9th? Maybe in the next week or two, I might just try and do that. And then do another video stream like this where I'm going to film everything and then just kind of show it to you guys, comment on it, see what you guys think should be improved, or what do you think you might not like. Just I would love to get general feedback opinion. I wish you guys could try this dish because the more feedback I get, the better of a home cook I can become, you know. And then I'll eventually try and do some eating videos as well. So, because there are some dishes here that I wouldn't mind eating live on stream, kind of giving my opinions to you guys as I'm eating it. You know, that kind of take advantage of that mukbang situation or the popularity of it that's going on right now in the world. Gotta get that initial yeah. Especially if it's something really, really spicy. You guys just want to watch me suffer and die. Clip all that stuff. Maybe like doing 4 packages of spicy noodles without anything to drink. Yeah, that might kill me, but could be fun. But yeah, you know, I am thinking I might do a very short stream today just because I didn't have... Yeah, no need to hurt myself. I don't know. My pain might be other people's pleasure, so you never know. Like, when you're watching those reaction videos, you gotta love... You feel bad for them, but at the same time, you can't stop watching them hurt themselves. That's why like those Jackass movies were so popular, because you're watching people do ridiculous things that they know they shouldn't be doing. But yeah, I probably should have planned this out a little bit better with more food stuff to show you guys. I mean, if you want, I can show you some more pictures of food that I've created in the past. Is that something you guys would be interested in seeing right now? Find some pictures. Okay, so this is actually something, it's not cooking, but it's more baking. I'm actually, one of the things I really enjoy doing more is baking than it does come to cooking. Just because I find it's more relaxing. because when you're cooking, you're over the hot oven all day. You know, you're kind of making sure you got to get this, got to get this, got to get this. Whereas bacon, you know, you got a little bit more time to relax. One of the things I'm proud of that I made within the last year was, let's see, these fruit tarts. So everything aside from the fruits, obviously, which I didn't make, everything was made by hand. So it's a Petit Sablé, I believe is the correct pronunciation for the crust. So it is actually in like these ring molds that I had, and I made this dough and kind of rolled it around the edges here, and then you put a base at the bottom, so it acts as a little tart. Actually, and then I had a bunch of excess, so I made little mini tart cases here. And then I did a homemade custard, which I failed at horribly because I didn't let thicken enough. Which, if you ever plan on making a custard, definitely keep cooking it and let it thicken up, because otherwise it turns super runny. Like, these came out looking nice, but this custard right here was, like you can see in this one picture up here, that the custard is still very liquidy, like the blueberries are falling in. Visually, it looks amazing. It looks so nice. And then these tarts are they were so good. But that custard was more runny than I would have preferred. And then I actually did something kind of fun that I thought. Let me see, where is it? I made a shell for the top. So it's kind of like a tart surprise. This was a kind of little fun idea I had. This is made with just regular chocolate chips that I melted down and tempered and used a silicone mold for. And then, let me see, I think this is a video of it. So it's like a little, yeah, so you can see here, this is where why did that do that? The custard was liquidy inside. So obviously, another thing you can do is you can just crack the shell on top. Yeah, it was very cool. It was innovative, but I did have errors in here, and I know what I need to fix for future ones. Yeah, I thought this is a pretty cool dessert, almost like a restaurant style dessert that you would see, where you crack the chocolate shell and you get a little bit of sweetness from the chocolate bits and the creaminess from the custard and the tart crust. Actually, one thing I really am super proud of is this. This is a white cake that I did layers of whipping cream and strawberry on the bottom, and then a mixture of whipping cream, blackberries, and raspberry in the middle, and then you just top it with fruit. So it's a nice fruit cake. Let's see, what else do I have? But like this one was really, really good. Like I made a whole bunch of this that I gave out to my family because it was a little bit messy to do, because I made the mistake of cutting it in advance. That was my fault. You should actually leave it as a solid cake, as like one solid piece, and then you cut it into the squares. Like I was trying to layer everything so I can do like clean edges on the side. That was my fault. I screwed up. Yeah, it is very tough to do. Actually, this is a cake that I saw on YouTube that I tried recreating. I'm not gonna lie, I did cut a couple corners on this, in that instead of making the cake from scratch, I did use a box cake mix. I tend to use stuff like that when I'm doing first time cooks, just so I can kind of figure out what I'm doing, the whole process. Because to try and do a cake from scratch, it is a time consuming process. You know, gotta get a lot of the ingredients, gotta sift it right. Whereas with a box cake, I can get everything done within half an hour, for the cake wise at least, and then I can spend the rest of the time planning how the visual look is going to be. What else I have here? Oh, okay, so this is something I was really into for a little while, is making Wellingtons. I did this in 2020 where I practiced making a lot of Wellingtons because I wanted to do a beef Wellington for Christmas dinner. So I actually went out and bought, because beef tenderloin is super expensive, I bought pork tenderloin. No, not pork tenderloin. I bought pork loin, which is a cheaper cut, but you can get a lot more of meat for a lesser price. So it's a great meat to practice with, as opposed to using high expensive cuts of meat. And I'm not gonna lie, after a while I started to get pretty good at this. The Wellingtons came out nicely. They burned a little bit at the top because they were a little too close to the heating element. It's trial and error, it's stuff you gotta learn and practice with. One thing though I would love to do with you guys live on a stream one day is ribs. Sous vide ribs are absolutely amazing. Like, this is after it came out of the oven, but let me see, so this is after it came out of the water bath actually. So you can see it's still kind of grayish a little bit. I re-seasoned it with some barbecue sauce and seasonings, and then I put it in my oven under the broiler, so it just chars the top. So because you don't want to overcook the meat. That's the thing, is with sous vide cooking, you can cook your meat to the perfect temperature that you want, but then when you add it to another heat source, whether it's a frying pan to sear it or put it in the oven to give it like a crust on the top, you have to be careful with how long you do that, because it will also cook the meat as well. So you could overcook the meat in that regard, depending if you're barbecuing it too. So what you would do in situations like that is you would actually cook the meat a little bit under, maybe 1 or 2 degrees below your desired temperature, so that when you put it on the heat source, it'll cook and bring it up that 1 or 2 degrees to your ideal temperature. So then you have that perfect cut or perfect temperature throughout the entire thing. And like, here's a picture of what those ribs came out like afterwards. And look how much moisture and how juicy that is. That's after a 16-hour cook, and then just a little bit of barbecue sauce and under the broiler for maybe 2 minutes max on each side, just to give it that color. But then this would just fall off the bone tender. But so going back to those pork Wellingtons I was talking about before, this is actually what the interior would look like. So pork loin is a very dense cut of meat. Like, it's good, but it can be very dry. So you have your pork here, then you wrap it in prosciutto or what did they mention it? Ham. And then you wrap it in the puff pastry. So it's nice, but it was a very, very dense piece of meat. It does need like a sauce or something to it. But okay, so this is what a steak would look like sous vide. So obviously you bag it, you season it with a little bit of salt and pepper, you remove all the air from the bag and you seal it, then you put it into the water bath. So this is what I did with my Nova system. So it just sits there for about an hour-ish, hour to 2 hours, maximum of 4 hours. That's the thing about sous vide cooking, is you have a larger window. Pork tenderloin can be cooked mean so it doesn't dry out too much. Yeah, with my pork tenderloin, I would always cook it to a medium temperature. So when it does come out initially, it does come out very moist and everything, but after like a day or two, or like not a day or two, but maybe like a couple of days, it is a lot of meat to try and eat out. I'm not gonna lie to you. But back to the steak. So when it comes out, you put it in the frying pan, you can see it does have that kind of grayish look. So this is obviously seared, but along the edges you can kind of see how kind of gray it looks. But then you get a couple minutes on, or a couple of seconds on each side, and it comes out looking beautifully, like a perfect steak that is super juicy, super tender. Actually, for these steaks, I actually was using them for lunch prep. So here is a picture of what they look like inside. That is medium rare with a beef fried rice mixture that I made for lunches. So whilst my outer side of the steaks is like all cooked perfectly, it's pink all the way through. And that's the thing where if you go to a restaurant and you order a steak there and they're doing it on a stove or a barbecue grill, you will notice there is that gray ring around the meat, and then the inside is pink. That's typical. That's because the heat is hotter on the outside as it travels through to the inside, because you want that inside to be your desired temp, but then the outside always gets cooked a little bit past that. So if you wanted a medium rare on the inside, your outer side might be more medium. Whereas with sous vide cooking, that heat transfer is consistent throughout the entire piece of meat, so you do not get that gray ring. So that's why my meat here looks pink all the way through as a medium rare. Now, I know I'm talking about sous vide as a lot of meat stuff, but that's not necessarily the case. You can use sous vide for other things. I did a compound butter once, and I actually added it to potatoes. Like, I sliced it and I added to potatoes that I wanted to do sous vide style. So I added it into the bag there, get everything vacuum sealed, and it just imparts a lot more of that. It's like basting the potatoes in garlic butter. So instead of pan roasting it and everything, and then try and just spoon in butter over top of the potato so it soaks into that, this way is the exact same method, except that it's just kind of cooking in a butter bath, so it just absorbs all that flavor. And you can do stuff like asparagus as well. Now, you do have to be careful though with what food or what vegetables you are trying to cook sous vide style, because a lot of them, like asparagus, will give off gas as it cooks. We don't see that when we're pan frying it, because obviously it's in an open pan, we don't see that gas coming off. But when you're enclosing it in a bag that's like this, that's vacuum sealed, as it cooks, it does produce this gas, so the bags will start to float. So that's why you do want to keep an eye on your food so that it gets even cooked throughout. And same thing with pork. Pork actually does give off a little bit of gas as it cooks as well. So it would float in the water bath, as opposed to maybe a steak that would just kind of like stay at the bottom because it's not producing gas. That gas is fine. It's not going to kill you. It's just the natural gas that meats give off as they cook. You have to be careful though, because if you overcook, or if you let the meat cook too long in the sous vide, it could get mushy and it could get really rancid. So it is touch and go. You got to be careful a little bit with it. But like I said, also with sous vide for vegetables, you can do things like corn. I did corn on the cob, same sort of thing. I put it in a bag. I added some compound butter and I cooked it. Sorry. And again, this is just as if you're doing butter poached corn. It's just sitting in this butter and it's just getting infused everywhere throughout the entire corn. It's so good. And the corn stays so fresh and vibrant as well, as opposed to when you do corn typical style and you take it and you put it into a pot of boiling water and you blanch it that way and cook it that way, the corn loses some of its nutrients, some of its flavor as it dissipates into the water. So you get like a corn flavored water sort of situation. Whereas when you're doing it with the sous vide, because it's encased in a bag, any moisture that comes out of the corn, it just sits in that bag and it just continues to coat that corn. So the corn doesn't lose those flavors, those nutrients, because it's sitting there stewing in its own juices essentially. And that doesn't escape into the water, so then you don't have to worry about losing any of that. And then you can also get very creative as well with it. So I did this, which is a butternut or spaghetti squash. And you can actually just like take it, cut it in half, hollow it out inside, and then add vegetables to it. So this is a mixture of mushrooms, bacon, and what else did I do? I don't remember. I think it was just mushrooms and bacon that I added in this one. I sauteed that on the pan, and then you add some cheese to that mix, and you put that in the squash. So you get a nice kind of stuffed squash that you want. And then you cook it in the sous vide, and then it comes out looking like this. So the cheese will melt, your bacon is already pre-cooked, and your mushrooms are already cooked as well. So it becomes like this really tasty dish. And if you're a vegetarian, like maybe meat's not your thing, that's fine. If you're a vegetarian, vegan, you can just take out the bacon, and you can put whatever you want. You can do other vegetables, like maybe just straight mushrooms and cheese. Like that would work just fine. Sous vide is great for other vegetables as well. The only thing is that it's at a much higher temperature than what you would do other stuff in. So like meats could be cooked at 130 Fahrenheit, 135. Vegetables like this is cooked at 185 Fahrenheit because it takes that much more heat, much more temperature to how do I explain it? To like break it down to get the vegetables to start to like tenderize, I guess is the way to say it. So like this is honestly the mixture that I made. It's bacon, cheese, and mushrooms. It's actually really tasty, and this is what I actually ate with pork tenderloin. Or not pork tenderloin, pork loin, when I was trying to do in the Wellingtons. So you see here, you got your nice piece of meat here wrapped in pastry. Then you have your veggies with the filling inside. And then again, you can always get creative too with your cooking. When I talked about the pork belly earlier, I went and made mini pork belly burgers. You get a little bun, a little salad, a couple slices of pork belly, boom, you're good to go. And it's super tasty, super moist and juicy. I would definitely recommend if you ever get the chance. Or even for like a little bit of an Asian flair, pork belly bao with egg tarts. And if you want to feel really fancy, this is something that I kind of experimented with a little while back. This is steak and eggs on toast. Now, what's really cool about this is the steak, obviously, done sous vide, but those eggs are also done sous vide. Oh yeah, it's super fancy. This was actually a recreation of a breakfast dish from a very fancy restaurant that I saw online. I can't remember the name of the restaurant where I saw it from, but I saw it and I was super impressed with it. And what's nice is they showed the process of how they did this. So what I like about the sous vide is that you can actually do hard-boiled eggs. You can actually do eggs in general in a sous vide. And in doing this, the outer whites actually don't cook as much as if you were to say hard-boiling it. So I was able to do like quote-unquote hard-boiled eggs this way, but then the whites was able to just peel off the egg yolk. So then you just leave it here, and you can kind of handle the egg yolk again very carefully though, so it doesn't break, but it still has some it's still a little bit solid enough that you can manipulate it. And then of course, when you're eating the actual dish, the egg yolks break, it kind of mixes together with the toasted bread and the meat. It's a very fancy, very tasty though. Like, I would definitely recommend trying it if you ever get the chance. And I think that's kind of it in terms of like fancy foods and stuff that I've made recently. I've done some basic stuff that is probably not really impressive, but I definitely do want to try and do some more baking to show you guys in the future, some more cooking to show you guys. And definitely, like Jason, you said, I would love to do more interactive cooking. So it is eventually live. So you guys can see what mistakes I'm making, see what I'm trying to do, what my thought process is, and hopefully it inspires you guys to try and step into the kitchen and do something fancy or unique that you've never tried before. Something maybe that you've always wanted to try and make, but were a little hesitant because you thought, hey, this is way out of my league. I don't know what I'm doing. Honestly, every time I step into the kitchen, I have that exact same thought process because I don't know what I'm doing, but I still go for it anyways and just give it a try. Because what's the worst that can happen is that you fail at it. And yeah, that sucks to fail at it, but you know what not to do now for future iterations. So then you can try it again and try it again and again until you succeed and get to that point where you're happy with it. And then you can be like, hey, I took a situation that I wasn't sure about and I made it work. I did it. And that's kind of a really cool feeling, like to create something out of nothing. And yeah, guys, I hope you get a chance to make something really cool, and I would love to see that if you ever do. But yeah, so I think with all these food pictures and that video from before, I hopefully managed to get your appetites going to the point where, you know, kind of make you hungry, because it's at least for me, I don't know what time it is for you guys, it's coming up on lunchtime. So watching all these foods or looking at all these pictures again is kind of getting me a little bit hungry. So I'm probably going to go and experiment more in my kitchen. Like, I got a couple little things that I want to try and play around with, and maybe craft future ideas for the future. Like, I've been writing down ideas for future cooking ideas. Like, I got chicken thigh recipe that I kind of want to try. It's very super simple. Got to go make lunch now. Yeah. Either lunch or dinner or whatever food time it is for whoever's watching. Or you know what? Even if you've already eaten and this makes you even more hungrier again, nothing wrong with a second lunch or a second dinner. You know. I just want to thank everyone for coming by, checking out my videos, and chatting with me. It really is very appreciated. It makes me feel like what I'm doing is actually kind of relevant. Like, I'm still unsure of what I'm doing, and honestly, all the feedback you guys can give me of, like, you know, encouragement, support on the streams, or what you think I'm lacking or what I could do better, I will definitely listen, take that all to heart, and try and produce a better experience for you guys all. One thing I'm actually thinking of doing is maybe in the next week or two, or maybe next month, is travel photos. Because I know, obviously, with COVID and the pandemic, travel is a lot harder for some people nowadays than it was 2-3 years ago. So what I was thinking I might do is I might go through some of my old photos from various trips and kind of just share that with you guys. I have a couple trips from Korea that I went to. I can show you some of the local food there that I ate, some of the places I went to. I will give a little disclaimer. A lot of it is K-pop based, so bear with me on that if you are not a fan of K-pop. But I did also check out a lot of the local food scenes there. And then I also have, like, maybe cosplay conventions that I've gone to that maybe you guys want to see photos from that. You know, maybe you haven't had a chance to go to a cosplay convention, or maybe I've gone to one that you haven't had a chance to go to yet and you kind of want to see what it's like. I can definitely show you those pictures as well. Let me know join my Discord. Let me know what your thoughts are, anything you want to discuss in future streams, or maybe ideas you might have for future streams. I'm open to doing a lot of stuff. I want to classify myself as a variety streamer. So I'm more than happy to try and do different things, like IRL streams, once the weather gets better outside, because it is like minus 30 right now, I think, for me. Oh no, yeah, so today is minus 18, so that's actually not too bad. That's actually a new command that I kind of found. You could go !weather and then where you are or wherever you want to check, and it'll tell you the weather. But yeah, thank you guys very much for coming by, and I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed watching my food, and I will see you guys later. I'm probably going to run the the video that I did one more time, just in case you guys missed it earlier on in the stream and you want to see the whole process. And yeah, have a great day, and I will see you later.